Sightings of mysterious cryptids have been reported by thousands of people throughout history, even still to this day. So what are cryptids? Well, they are creatures or entities that are rumoured to exist, but have never been proved by science. Some believe in them passionately, while others dismiss them all as myths. But the people who believe in them will sometimes go to the grave maintaining what they saw was true, and that is what makes stories of cryptids so interesting. What are these people seeing? Are they mistaken, or is it the real thing? The sincerity of the witnesses makes these cases so intriguing and allows them to stand the test of time. One such case of a mysterious cryptid is the story of the Flatwoods Monster. Deep in the heart of West Virginia there lies a small town called Flatwoods. It's a quiet, serene place, but it holds a dark secret. On one memorable night, an entity now known as the Flatwoods Monster apparently manifested, and this small town changed forever. Since then, people have continued to report sightings of this bizarre beast, but let's go back and examine the first confirmed encounter way back on September 12th of 1952. At 7:15 PM that evening, two young brothers, Edward and Fred May, were out playing with their friend Tommy Hire when all of a sudden they claimed they saw a bright object cross the sky and come down on the property of a local farmer, G. Bailey Fisher. The youngsters quickly made their way back to their home and relayed what they saw to their mother, Kathleen May. Mrs. May wanted to calm the boys down and show them there was nothing to be afraid of, so she accompanied the children to the Fisher farm along with two other children, Neil Nunley, Ronnie Shaver, and a 17-year-old West Virginia National Guardsman, Eugene Lemon. Things were immediately suspicious upon arrival to the farm, as Eugene's dog began barking uncontrollably, running away before returning moments later with its tail between its legs, whimpering frantically. The residents pressed on for about a quarter of a mile before reaching the top of a hill, and this is when everything suddenly escalated. The people reportedly witnessed a massive ball of fire about 50 feet to the right of them, accompanied by a pungent mist that made their eyes and noses burn. Eugene immediately aimed his flashlight in that direction, illuminating a tall figure with a round face, surrounded by a pointed, hood-like shape. The entity also had small claw-like hands, and his head was likened by Kathleen May as resembling the Ace of Spades. Time stood still as the witnesses were transfixed on the being before it aggressively hissed and began to glide towards them. Eugene let out a terrified scream and dropped the flashlight, prompting him and the group to bolt out of there as fast as they could. Upon informing local law enforcement, spookily enough, the sheriff advised he had already been investigating reports of a crashed aircraft in the area. The sheriff and his team relentlessly searched the site, but said they saw, heard and smelled nothing.
I told her to hold on, and I went and got Dad, and he talked to her for a little bit. And then when they hung up, Dad called the sheriff. At that time was Bob Carr. He lived down Gasaway. And he came up, and he and Dad went out there and looked around and whatever. The only thing that I can remember my dad ever really saying anything about it was, he says, there was no doubt in my mind that there was something out there. He says, because the grass was all beat down and kind of seared.
The next day, a reporter by the name of Lee Stewart Jr. claimed he discovered skid marks in the field, as well as what he described as an old gummy deposit, which later went on to encourage UFO enthusiasts who saw the Flatwood Monster as for certain a visiting alien. However, it was later questioned whether the tracks were actually caused by a pickup truck driven by Max Lockhart, who had actually driven up to the location to try and catch a glimpse of the creature before Stewart had made his discovery. When speaking to the witnesses, Stewart strongly believed them. Those people were the most scared people I have ever seen. Stewart was so concerned when he searched the area that he was clutching a shotgun, also saying about the group, multiple people don't make up that kind of story that quickly. The case fascinated the local press and was mentioned by radio broadcasters, and hundreds of phone calls came in to discuss the mystery. The national press services were blown away by the story, calling it their number 11 story of the year. UFO and 4TM writers Gray Barker and Ivan T. Sanderson arrived to investigate, and funnily enough, some of the descriptions varied in Gray Barker's interview with the witnesses. A few of the people now described the Flatwood Monster as having a green body, a hood-like shape around the face, and eyes emitting a bright orange light.
I think the common impression was most people didn't believe it. They said, oh, you know, they saw something, but they just made it up. It wasn't anything from outer space, and it wasn't alien, and you know, that kind of stuff.
So what did these multiple witnesses really see on that fateful night? The main explanation offered is that the people saw a barn owl, with its description, silhouette, flight pattern and hissing all lining up with that kind of animal. Many believe the owl would have been perched on a tree limb, and the foliage beneath may have created the illusion of the lower body of the reported creature. The surrounding darkness would have of course made the owl's eyes glow in the dark, and any surrounding trees, leaves, shadows or fences could have added to a believed outline of a bigger being. The description of the small claw-like hands would also line up with a barn owl. Believers argue, however, that each person would have been able to tell the difference between an owl and what was reported, especially when the flashlight lit it up. They also like to claim there have not been many cases in history where intelligent people mistake regular animals for otherworldly beings.
No, I think Dad was right. I think definitely there was something there. Of course, the tales have gone on and on all these years. And as time has progressed, you hear of other, you know, UFOs and etc. And then the government always says, oh no, 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 it's nothing. Just like they did in that documentary last night, you know. It was a hoot owl and that kind of stuff.
Representing the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry, Joe Nickell conducted an investigation into the experience in the year 2000. He concluded that the bright light in the sky was most likely a meteor, and that the pulsating red light was more than likely an aircraft hazard beacon, and that the creature was, yes, most likely an owl. On the night of September 12th, it is worth mentioning that a meteor had been observed across 3 states: Maryland, Pennsylvania, and of course West Virginia. Joe Nickell ultimately decided that witnesses' fears were heightened by each other's reactions, adrenaline and anxiety. But again, believers like to say these people would have been smarter than that, and it would be tough for multiple witnesses to make the exact same mistake at the same time. Interestingly, the mother of Eugene Lemon passionately believed her son, and also claimed at the time that her house had been violently shaken and her radio had cut out for nearly an hour. She and the rest of the witnesses never went back on their story. A lesser known claim came from unnamed residents of the area who said they saw a UFO the morning after the incident. Over the years since, the monster has been reported, but from no one named specifically, and many claim this is just the residents of Flatwoods trying to keep the legend alive for tourism. Ever since, the town of Flatwoods have embraced the legacy of the story and have erected a welcome sign calling the town the home of the Green Monster. The town even celebrates the legend in its annual Flatwood Days festival. The monster is also heralded in the town of Sutton, nearby in Braxton County, where the Flatwoods Monster Museum is situated. The Visitors Bureau have also built a series of 5 tall chairs in the shape of the monster to serve as a landmark. Regardless of what the witnesses saw that night, the legend of the Flatwoods Monster lives on in West Virginia. The story remains a fascinating part of American folklore and continues to captivate the imagination of the people of Flatwoods and many all around the world. The story serves as a reminder of the power of storytelling and the enduring appeal of the unknown. So was it an alien? Was it a cryptid revealing itself to the world? Or just a regular barn owl mistaken and blown out of proportion? To this day, the legend has never faded away. We are still fascinated, still intrigued, and still seeking answers.
Personally, I think there was something out there. Now, I don't know if it actually looked like how they describe it, or you know, how they've promoted the pictures and whatever. But I think something was there. I've always thought that.
Would you think that it was of an extraterrestrial nature?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.